once you told in a conference that the human being is possible because of the power of stars.
Yes.
You keep this idea?
Certainly. I mean, we all are actually star dust in origin. You know, that's one of the things I always say is that the universe is so much more mysterious. The more closely you look at it, the more you try to understand it, the more mysterious it becomes. And I think that's one of the really exciting and for me the fun part of being a scientist. It's the discovery, but it's also the mystery, because the mystery gets deeper as you understand the world more and better. So, you know, 4.5 billion years ago, the Earth formed from a dust cloud that was the remnant of a supernova, which is a huge stellar explosion. So literally everything here, all of us, every molecule in our bodies was in a star before it was part of our bodies, or the Earth for that matter. It's quite a story.
Are there any conflicts between science and religion? How scientists feel about religion?
There's no conflict. Certainly the science does not create a conflict, because all scientists, in order to be a scientist, you have to admit you don't know. That's the key to being a scientist. You have to admit at the very first that you don't know, because otherwise you can never gain new knowledge unless you admit that you don't know. And at the very fundamental, lowest, bottom line of philosophy is that you cannot know anything for certain. When you run into trouble with religion and science, it's because religion sometimes say, no, we know this is the way the world is. The world is flat, it's not round, the sun goes around the earth. Then you run into trouble. But science doesn't create the trouble. Science is basically just saying, no. We're pretty sure that the sun goes around the earth, that the earth goes around the sun. I mean, and so I see it as something where science doesn't create a conflict. And if you are open-minded about your religion, there's also no conflict, because, at some point you have to say, I'm not certain, but my heart tells me this. And you're not going to force somebody else to believe what you believe, because that wouldn't be nice. It wouldn't be fair, I don't think, as a human being, to force your beliefs on another person. But I think the nice thing is that everyone has the choice of believing what they want, and they should be given the freedom and the space to believe what they want to believe. And that goes for scientists too. I believe that we came from, evolution, that we evolved from this amazing journey of life for billions of years, literally. But that doesn't mean there's no God. I'm not trying to say there's no God, but if there is a God, the God
or a goddess,
they had that vision of letting life evolve, and maybe knew that it would turn out this way, maybe not.
Craig, are you satisfied with the world, how we live nowadays, or we are really in trouble in terms of climate and all the conflicts and the wars around the world, immigrants issues?
I'm very unhappy with the political climate in the United States. There's still a lot of racism and hatred, and I'm also worried about the sort of the impact humans are having, because there are too many people. The 7 billion people is just too many. That we actually need to have really good solutions to a lot of problems. So we definitely need really smart young people. I think we can solve them if we have good leadership. If we had smart, good leadership in our governments, where they put a proper price on the impact that we have when we burn fossil fuel, and create global warming. If we put the right price on that, so that people use solar or other energy types instead, I think policies can help us. So I'm very concerned. But on the other hand, I'm not worried because, I think we can solve these problems. And I think the more difficult the problems become, the more human beings will rise to the occasion and solve them. I believe that people can solve terrible problems. And, I'm hopeful that it will be done by directly without some terrible catastrophe happening first. But one way or the other, I think the Earth is fairly stable environment. Humans can solve and make our societies more sustainable. So I think there's challenges, huge challenges, but I think that we're able to solve them.
As a scientist, are there any reasons to put people against people? Whites think they are better, more intelligent. Is there any explanation for this crazy world where we live?
Incredible ignorance. We're all very closely related. I know the Azores are very ethnically diverse because so many different sailors came through here and contributed genetics to the island, to all the islands. But human beings are all very closely related. In fact, that's one of the wonderful things about the journey of evolution that biology tells us. Of course, there's no difference between any human beings. We're all the same species. We're all exactly the same.
And in terms of cells and DNA, do we have different?
I actually don't. I often jokingly, tell people that of course we're related to monkeys. Just read the newspaper. You can see, if you tell me that we're too smart to be related to monkeys, just read the newspaper. We are not that smart. I think that's the key thing science tells us is we have to work hard to be smart. Humans are not naturally smart. I don't think we're much smarter than our pet cats and dogs. I'm not joking. I don't think we're that smart. I think we have to work really hard to be smart. We have to be critical. We have to talk to each other. We have to brainstorm together, and collectively together we can do really smart things. But the whole idea of racial supremacy and it's sickening. It's sickening. It's so sad that that this current wave of anti-immigration that we have and is fueling this ethnic hatred. Immigrants built America. The United States is an immigrant country, as my blood. Of course, I'm not Native. Even the Native Americans were immigrants, right? Because the Native American Indians came over there 10,000 years ago or 15,000 years ago. But no, all humans, we're very, very closely related. We are one. We're all one. We're all brothers and sisters. And I think it's a great message.
And it is interesting to mention as a famous sentence from a Nobel Prize, a Portuguese Nobel Prize winner in literature, José Saramago. He said, if you didn't leave, if you are not an immigrant, your parent or your grandparent was. This is a great idea because everybody is moving around the world.
Yes. Yeah, I always think of myself more as just a human being, I don't think of myself as an American or anything. Not that I'm not proud of America, because I think that the principles that the founding fathers of America, the United States, had in mind were revolutionary. That all people are created equal, and that you have a certain basic rights. I think that that's wonderful. And when those words were written, they were very radical, and of course they were written at a time when there were slaves in our country, and the slave trade was still active when those words were written. But then we had the sort of the fulfillment of that with President Obama being elected president. For the first time, an African American was president, and I think that was a wonderful message to the whole world about what is possible in America, in the United States. I think that's the real message about America.
Sure, and what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations, right? Craig, I would like to know what's the meaning of life for you, because you had rough times in your life, huh? Not everything was easy.
Well, I consider myself incredibly fortunate in my life and my upbringing, but I did have to work hard. My family didn't have a lot of money, but I had to work to go to college. I had to earn my own, tuition for college, and worked hard labor jobs, construction and things like that. But I had a very good, easy life, really, compared to a lot of people. But I think that the key to happiness is to feel like you have a purpose. Of course, you need love, you need your family, you need your friends. But just having your family and just having your friends is not enough. You need to feel like you're giving something back, that you're
To the community, to the world.
to the world, to society. It could be your artwork, it could be your music, it could be vegetables that you lovingly grow, it could be clothing that you make, or whatever you do with yourself. You should do it with a sense of purpose and meaning. To get that sense of creativity and satisfaction that you did something, you made something, you did something to make the world better. So to me, that's where happiness comes from. It comes from feeling at the end of the day like you accomplished something, and it can be, sometimes I feel very, very happy when I fix the plumbing, or, maybe just get the gardening done. And sometimes I feel incredibly happy when I come up with a new idea in my laboratory and we have a new discovery in the laboratory, and then I feel very, very excited as well. But I think all people can find happiness through hard work and by making a contribution, trying to, even just helping someone who needs help. You see someone who needs a little help and you go help them. That gives you your life purpose right there. So, just being a good person, I think, is where that real happiness comes from.
But being a good person starts in our families. And what about your daughters? You have two daughters, Melissa and Victoria.
Yes.
What can you tell us about these beautiful daughters that you have?
Yes, and I have two wonderful stepkids too, and they're wonderful people. I feel one of the hard things is sometimes we make it too easy for them, because they don't. I wish I could make them feel like what it's like not to have money, because my family now has enough money for them to go to college. They don't have to worry about, hey, Dad, can I have $100? I feel like sometimes, no, go work. That's what my grandfather would have said. But no, they're doing very, very well. Melissa especially she has a great work ethic, works very hard. Victoria is doing very well at Brown, and despite having diabetes, which is very, very difficult, she manages that very well. But
since she was a little kid.
1.5, yes. And with diabetes, without insulin, she would die. So every single day she needs to give herself a medicine to keep herself alive. So she's very appreciative of what medicine means. Medicine is very important.
It is possible to live a full life being a diabetic
Yes, it is.
person?
Absolutely. There are, there are diabetics in every walk of life, and some very, very successful, even great athletes can be diabetic. So you can have a totally normal life thanks to insulin, which is really one of the first sort of precision medicines, if you will, in that the insulin that we use now for diabetics is made based on an informational therapy. It's the drug is made by bacteria that read the human genetic code to make the insulin that's used as the therapy.
A final message, please, for our Azorean or Portuguese communities around the world.
So give your kids a chance, and they will make you very proud.
Thank you so much, Craig. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I think that our people, our audience, is going to love to listen to Craig in presence and having this Nobel Prize going in your houses around the world. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.